So why is the Southwest thing so horrible? Why? Well, because of this. Because instead of using the money in profits and the money that they got from the government during COVID to upgrade their routing system so this wouldn't happen, they instead did the corrupt thing, and instead of reinvesting money into their company, they just gave it to their shareholders. $5.6 billion in shareholder gifts. And so at the subheadline,
gifts.
So the subheadline is airlines gamble on mass layoffs and billions in handouts to investors goes badly. So they don't have to give that money to those. They should take that money and invest it in the company and then give money to the shareholders. But they're giving them money they shouldn't give. So that's why they're calling it a gift.
Is this like they did the bailouts to those companies and they paid everybody their bonuses after that? Yeah,
that's right. That's what this is. According to Accountable US, the crisis Southwest has experienced in recent days amid a massive winter storm was a problem of its own making, noting that the airline opted to spend $5.6 billion on stock buybacks in the 3 years leading up to the pandemic, rather than making investments in infrastructure to be better prepared for extreme weather events like this week. So again, this is corporate malfeasance. This is corporate mismanagement at the best. It's mismanagement. The watchdog group added that the company even reinstated dividends earlier this month, the first major airline to do so after the pandemic. So they're bleeding the company of all their revenue instead of investing into the company. And then something like this happens, and who has to pay the price? Not the executives. They're still going to get all their bonuses. It's the customers and the workers. And then they call the cops to enforce their corporate corruption. That's fascism. Southwest Airlines made a risky gamble that mass layoffs and spending billions of dollars on handouts to investors rather than fixing infrastructure would pay off with record profits. The airline lost that bet badly, and now it's their customers left paying the price, including the thousands stranded in the middle of a holiday season travel. Southwest can be this cocky because, again, we don't really have real competition in the air travel. We don't really.
Well, for credit cards that they sell.
Yeah, that's right. They're really credit card companies, by the way. So Southwest has canceled more than 5,000 flights this week and delayed hundreds more, stranding travelers and flight attendants, throwing holiday plans, blah, blah. Unions representing flight attendants and pilots have said that while the winter storm fueled some of the cancellations, deliberate decisions by Southwest management were ultimately responsible for what's been described by the company as a full-blown meltdown. Specifically, the vice president of Southwest Airlines Pilot Association told Insider that the company's outdated scheduling software has been overwhelmed, wreaking havoc on operations. When we get out of position, it's a tough task for our schedules to put it back together. And right now, they're having to do it by hand. And they can't keep track of their employees, and so they have a really, who cares if you understand what their problem is? The problem is they have a problem. Everyone knows they've had a problem, and they decided to spend their money by giving it to their investors instead of investing it and fixing this problem. The New York Times reported Wednesday that many of the scheduling issues stem from the carrier's unique point-to-point model. Who gives a shit? Most airlines follow a hub and spoke. You get that. Okay, who cares about the mechanics of why this is happening? It's happening because they don't have their right system. By the way, do investors fly on Southwest? Because it must be bittersweet if any of them are at an airport right now, right? I'm kidding. They have private jets.
I'm enjoying my gift, but I wish I could get on my flight.
So the company's massive failures have been drawn scrutiny from members of Congress and the U.S. Department of Transportation, which has said it is looking into cancellations. You know who that is? That's Pete Buttigieg. That's the Department of Transportation. That's Pete Buttigieg, the guy who took a month off in the middle of the biggest supply chain F-up in the history of the world because him and his husband got pregnant. This has clearly crossed the line from what's uncontrollable weather situation to something that is the airline's direct responsibility. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg said, "Boy, you know you screwed up when Peach Judy Bug has to do his job even a little." Right? Friend of the show, David Sirota says, documents show that before this week's travel disaster, state officials of both parties warned Secretary Pete Buttigieg about the mess, begging him to crack down. He responded by going on TV to insist that travel is going to get better by the holidays. They're begging him to do something. So he didn't do his job even a little.
What? I mean,
he didn't do it. He
how
didn't do
did he
anything.
turn around South Bend, Indiana, if he can't?
Yeah. Friend of the show, Nina Turner, even got in. She says, this is incompetence. Look at her. Well, she goes after Democrats, huh? She must be a Republican right-winger. This is what placing unqualified people in positions of power to do the bidding of corporations will get you. There is a direct line from the Secretary Buttigieg to the Southwest Airlines debacle, and we shouldn't pretend there isn't.
But we will.
But we will. I like how she's being tough. Is she being tough? It's so weird that people who don't like Pete Buttigieg have suddenly decided that Secretary of Transportation is a position with limitless power, such that even the president's authority pales in comparison. I mean, really? Wait, quick. Name 3 prior secretaries of transportation. The reason why you can't name one of the 3 prior secretaries of transportation is because they didn't have a major fuck up while they were secretaries of transportation. This guy has been one complete fuck up to it the next. He took a vacation while we had the biggest supply chain screw up in the history of humankind, and now they're begging him to help with the thing, and he didn't. He didn't do anything.
It's the holidays. Come on. He needs to enjoy his family.
The way you know a secretary of transportation sucks, the way you know he sucks, is if you know his name.
Yeah. It's like the Prime Minister of Canada. I should never know who that is.
Never know who that is.
If I do, then something screwed up.
He did something. Matt Stoller, friend of the show, says, but what can Pete Buttigieg even do about the airlines? It's not like he controls the weather or hires airline CEOs. It's not like his department has the authority to fine airlines and promulgate rules against unfair practices. Oh, wait. That's exactly what they could do. Matt Stoller being funny. I like when he's funny. The lever, this is from more David Sirota. Southwest execs paid themselves $112 million while refusing to upgrade the computer system that fueled this week's travel nightmare. While stranding thousands of customers, Southwest is now paying a $400 million dividend to its shareholders.
Oh, so it worked.
So
they're doing a great job. What's the problem?
Comrade Misty says, oh man, turns out Boy Wonder Spook is a piece of shit who can't even handle being Secretary of Transportation. Who couldn't possibly have seen that coming? Can't wait for the Democrats to force him and that cop on us, meaning Kamala Harris. By the way, free lap dances for stranded Southwest Airlines passengers in Vegas. Southwest has said they'll cover reasonable expenses for affected travelers. That likely covers modest meals and hotel accommodations. But what about the modest expenses? For those, Larry Flint's Hustler Club has Southwest passengers covered, offering free transportation to the club, waived cover charge, 1 free drink, and a lap dance.
Wow. I can't think of anything more baller than using an airline voucher for a lap dance. 1 free lap dance, please.
Okay. So it's another corrupt corporation and your government is letting you down and blah, blah, blah.
It is very suspicious that I even know who the Secretary of Transportation is. It really is.
Pete Buttigieg. Everybody were doing live stand-up comedy in Los Angeles in January and February in Los Angeles. And then we're going to Tempe, Palm Springs, Milwaukee, Minneapolis, Nashville. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for all those tickets and become a premium member while you're there.